Welcome to episode 151 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my co-host, Mr. Warren Sklar, is celebrating his birthday a little early out in beautiful Las Vegas. I hope you are having a fun time. We miss you, but who better to fill in for Warren this week is Mr. Guy Serle from the MyMac.com podcast. How you doing, Guy?
I'm doing just fine, Dave. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely. We always like having you on the show, and plenty of stuff to talk about today. I could tell you that. There's Apple's been pretty busy here. So,
well, not just Apple,
and everybody for that matter.
Yeah.
So we got some news stories to be talking about here, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Apple Music lossless support that was announced, and as well as iPad Pros are shipping and all that other fun stuff. So let's just go ahead and dive right into the news this week. First story here is in Engadget. It's already possible to hack an AirTag. Oh, what a surprise.
Yeah, what would you hack it to do, though?
The security risks are small, but there are a lot of potential for enthusiasts. And I can hear you, by the way, the loop back. You knew it was just a matter of time when someone was going to hack the Apple AirTags, but it might have happened sooner than you expected. 9to5Mac reported that a security researcher has already cracked the microcontroller for the Apple item tracker, dumping its firmware and discovering that you can reflash it for your own purposes. It was demonstrated the possibilities by modifying the NFC web address, the one that appears when you tap an AirTag, to his personal site. As you might guess, that raises the potential for hacked AirTags that'll send users malware and phishing sites. So I'm not surprised that this is happening. That someone was going to be out there trying to figure out something here. And well, what do you think of this, guy?
Well, I don't understand the risk here. If you go to find your AirTag and it sends you someplace other than Find My, wouldn't you just go, that thing must be hacked, and go someplace else? Or would you start clicking on links in a dubious website that your AirTag has sent you to? Because it is absolutely not the behavior that you expect from an AirTag.
You wouldn't normally, no.
Yeah.
But it was very, very surprising that it was this quick that someone was able to hack it.
Well, I don't know if it's even really a surprise. I think there's not too much that isn't hackable these days. Am I still bleeding over?
A little bit.
What is the problem here?
Well, we keep going.
Okay, I'm going to open up loop back and I'll take a look at that while we speak. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why that would be a thing.
It's it's for something for somebody to do. I guess they're bored.
I guess, but what good is it going to do you?
Yeah, you could turn it into your own way of sending stuff to your own URL.
Yeah, that would be about it. Yeah.
Speaking on another story about AirTags, AirTags work as an NFC trigger for Apple shortcuts. The AirTags built-in NFC coil can be used by the Apple Shortcuts app to trigger automations that has been found. The functionality noticed by iCulture allowed users to trigger shortcuts by simply tapping the top of their AirPhone with the white plastic side of the AirTag. As shortcuts completely user configurable, you can be used to initiate almost an infinite number of actions. The fact that the AirTag can be used to trigger automations open up new possibilities for automating HomeKit scenes, app behavior, and more.
See, this concerns me more than the previous story. If you could take an AirTag and, because it's essentially you're still hacking it, by whether it's going to a nefarious website or whether it's a if this then that kind of automator action. Then what's to keep it from saying, okay, well, we've hacked it so that you think you're opening up your garage door, but it's really going to make it so that we know what the code is for your front door, or some other nefarious action that you don't want to have happen.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's the thing too. Yeah, because shortcuts are wide open. You could pretty much do anything. So it might be a little bit concerning, but. people are going to be more creative with AirTags as we go here. I'm not surprised.
But it's making me more and more happier that I don't have any AirTags just yet, because I'm sure that the firmware. I don't even know how. Well, how do you update the firmware in them, or can you?
Not that I'm aware of that you can. So that's what I'm saying. I just find it hard to believe that
already
you can do much with it. Yeah, because Apple does not disclose any way of getting into the AirTag to be able to tap into it. So,
well, there's got to be some way, because there's either going to be added functionality, or there's going to be, oh crap, we left this port open, so we have to do something about it. So let's flash the firmware, and there's got to be something there, some way for Apple, any way to do it.
Oh, but if there is, they're not telling us. So,
well, not yet.
Yeah. Next story. This was in Mac Rumors. There's a new Beats Studio Buds that was revealed in iOS and tvOS 14.6. Apple's working on a new wire-free in-ear Beats branded earbuds, according to the images in the tvOS 14.6 and iOS 14.6 betas that were found by Mac Rumors. The Beats Studio Buds are unlike any prior Beats headphones that Apple has released as their no ear wrap as the Power Beats Pro or the wire-like Power Beats. Beats Studio Buds are going to be a tiny design, and probably similar to earbuds from companies like Samsung or Google. So yeah, as you look at the pictures they're showing here, that we don't know that these are the legit designs of it, but it looks like they're going to be those small little buds, smaller than what an AirPods are, and a different market, another set of earbuds. What do you think?
Well, why? I understand why they bought Beats. They wanted Beats for marketing. They wanted Beats for their technology. Well, now they've more or less surpassed it. I mean, there's a lot of things about the Beats sound that people don't like. So a lot of people say it's bass heavy. So why not take the technology that you want from Beats and just release it into Apple earbuds in various shapes and sizes, or go the other way around and have a purer sound, a more neutral sound available in Beats earbuds, and stop selling the Apple branded ones, because it's ridiculous that you have two companies that are essentially making the exact same product, or at least competing with each other.
It does seem strange, and
that's nuts.
Already rumors that they're going to be a new AirPods Pro, probably a third gen coming soon. Yeah, and who's to say that isn't going to change? And we'll be talking about audio here in just a second with the Apple Music change, but yeah, it's very strange.
Well, it's like, I'm sure there are people in Beats that are like, okay, well, who's our number one competitor? Right. It's our parent company. That's kind of make you feel kind of weird when you go into work in the morning.
Yeah. Next story. Everybody loves Microsoft Teams, right?
Sure, we do.
There's now a friends and family version now available for iOS and macOS users.
Oh, good.
The personal version of Microsoft Teams is now available for friends and family members. This feature was teased nearly a year ago, and it's launched today as we record this for everyone. Microsoft Teams for personal use will offer free 24-hour video calls for up to 300 people, and video calls that can last up to 24 hours. The company says it'll eventually enforce its limit of 60 minutes for group calls of up to 100 people after the pandemic, but it will keep the 24-hour individual calls. So
that's like Zoom.
Yeah, I think what are we surprised? Microsoft has been directly trying to compete with Zoom, and we record this on Zoom, and I actually like Zoom, and find it interesting that they're going to compete. Probably what's going to end up happening is Skype's going to go away. I mean,
it almost has to. If
that's the goal,
because Teams is part of Office 365. So
kind of sort of.
That's Well, if you get Office 365, you have Teams, the professional, I guess, version.
Depending
of Teams.
on the version, right? The family versions, or you have to have a premium and higher to have a actual Teams where you can have collaboration of Teams.
Well, and it's almost like the same thing with Apple and Beats. Microsoft is competing with themselves between Skype and Microsoft Teams. So again, take the best features of both, put them in together, and name them one thing or the other. It's I just don't get why companies are continuously trying to compete with themselves, just under different names.
Yeah, it just keeps going. So, what can we say? Check it out if you really want to. It works.
I mean, I use Teams. Teams is fine. You know,
yeah, I use it for work. So
sure. I don't use it. You have the paid version of Zoom, so this is what you use for podcasting, and it works great. I mean, Chuck has 9, 10, 11 people on at a time in the Madhouse that is the Mac Voices Tuesday Night Live special. And, I use StreamYard. Dave Hamilton uses Melon. And, I mean, this is really kind of the golden age for live casting, because there's just so many great services out there right now.
There is. There really is. Next story. This is in Mac Rumors. The Apple Store app on the iPad gets a redesign. Apple today updated the Apple Store app on the iPad to introduce a refreshed design that includes a new sidebar. The sidebar on the left side of the screen will offer quick access to shopping, today at Apple sessions, favorite order history, and more. And there are also buttons to shop by products, so you can easily navigate to the iPhone, Mac, iPad, Apple Watch, and others. So yeah, this is a little overdue for the iPad. The iPad version of the Apple Store app wasn't so good to navigate, but they've done a better job with this, I think. I don't know how much you use it.
Well, I haven't used it yet, but it looks, from the pictures that I've seen, it looks suspiciously like the Mac version. And as we were talking about last night, this really makes me think that's what they're pushing for with the iPad, is to make it more Mac-like, if not just a mobile touchscreen Mac.
Right.
That's my conspiracy. That's like in the back of my mind.
So check it out. Next story, talking about iPad. The new 12.9-inch iPad Pro works perfectly, quote unquote, with the previous gen Magic Keyboard, but fit is a little bit snug.
Isn't it just connected by magnets?
It is, but when Apple first introduced the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, a report said that the new iPad would not be compatible with the previous generation Magic Keyboard. And boy, was there an uproar! People were going crazy, because it's due to a slight increase in the thickness of the 12.9-inch model. Apple later confirmed that the older Magic Keyboard might not close properly when it's paired with the new iPad Pro. Now, however, reviews of the M1-powered iPad have been published, revealing that the previous gen Magic Keyboard does actually work perfectly fine with the new 12.9-inch iPad Pro. The Verge's Deidre Bond said that when he tested it, he wasn't able to discern any difference between the fit of the original and the new white Magic Keyboard, as that worked and closed just fine. So why would Apple say this? I mean, and they just, all it did was irritate the heck out of people, because if you have the 12.9-inch Magic Keyboard, why wouldn't, if you decide you want to upgrade, just like when I'm getting the 11-inch, that's going to work perfectly fine. So I don't know. I don't understand why they do this. Because
there'll be some people that just go ahead and get a new Magic Keyboard.
Yeah, for $300
or $350 for the 12.9.
This is the 12.9. The 11-inch keyboard Magic Keyboard is fine, so there's no problems with that. So, go figure.
Money.
Yep. So Apple was rolling out a fix for the grayed out app tracking transparency toggle. This is in Mac Rumors. Apple appears to be ironing out a bug that was meant that meant some iOS 14.5 users were unable to adjust the allow apps to request to track setting that was rolled out as part of Apple's app tracking transparency feature, or ATT. In iOS 14.5.
Familiar about that.
Yeah, 14.5, iPadOS 14.5, and tvOS 14.5 ATT required to ask that apps ask permission before tracking your activity across other companies, apps, and websites, targeting your website, advertising and purposes, blah, blah, blah. And you can go into the settings on the iPad or the iPhone under privacy and tracking, and then where the new allow apps to request tracking switch resides. the setting was set to off by default. So you can go in and turn it on. And if I seem to remember, there was a survey saying that 93% of the people were keeping it off, even though Apple's offering this as a choice. But I just want to piss off Facebook just by turning it on and saying,
for just a second, and then turning it back off. Oh man, we got him. Oh no, he's gone now.
Yeah. So what do you think of this?
I'm kind of with you. Anything that pisses off some of these companies that just want to track everything that you do. You want to give me some services, fine, charge me for them. And I'll make up my own mind whether I want to pay for them or not. But this whole, well, it's not costing you anything. Well, that's just BS, because it is costing me something. It's costing me my data. They're getting ready to close down Google Photos. I think mostly because Google's gotten pretty much everything they want out of it. So they're like, well, why are we spending money on this for users if it's not getting us anything more? So they could just close it down, come out with something else, and get everyone to sign up for that also. So, it's just a big data gathering game for some of these companies.
Oh, for sure. And
not that I'm paranoid much.
No, nor am I. And then next story on 9 to 5 Mac, Apple Music app has been repeatedly crashing for CarPlay users using iOS 14.5.1. Widespread issue appears to be affecting CarPlay users running on 14.5.1, according to reports. And multiple reports on Reddit and other forums that the music app on CarPlay has started to repeatedly crash upon launch for some users. I did notice that too, since I am a relatively new user of the CarPlay on my new car, or my new used car. But the report says that most likely Apple Music problems caused the app to crash, and with Apple expecting to release a server-side fix that would bring it back to normal rather sooner than later. So
I hope so.
Oddly enough, the whole thing seems to be happening exclusively on devices running 14.5.1, which is not surprising because that's the new version. But I sure hope that they fix this. I've been having other problems with my radio. It just keeps freezing up. I'm probably gonna have to take it in again. They just replaced the darn thing.
For me, I'm not getting freezing. I'm getting it's just dropping out completely. CarPlay just disappears, and then, because the default for the stereo that I have built into the car is Sirius, I get that stupid, hey, if you'd like to join up with Sirius, do you like the content you've heard? It's like, oh, shut up. I don't want Sirius. If I wanted Sirius, I would have paid for Sirius. And I tried changing cables. I've tried a bunch of different things, but it just keeps dumping out into and especially when I'm using like either Waze or Apple Maps, that makes it even worse, because then I've got to, once I get it back up and working again, I just kind of hope that it's kept the last settings for wherever it was I was going. Otherwise, you got to pull over and reset it all over again.
Yeah, like I said, my experience has been not so good, just because I don't know if it's the radio or if it's CarPlay. But for the most part, I've been enjoying it. It's been nice to have since I hadn't had it for a long time.
CarPlay is awesome. Yeah. I would not buy a car now that didn't have Android Auto or CarPlay.
Same here. Android? How could you have Android?
Well, I actually have an Android. I'll show it to you. I've got an Android phone here. I have no idea what it is. I got it off of wish.com. Yeah. And the main reason why I got it.
That's a Pixel 2.
Oh,
which is end of life.
This is supposed to be. It was supposed to be like a Samsung S9, but it was. And I knew it when I bought it. It was so cheap. It was like, oh, come on. There's no way that's an S9. I wanted it to try out the whole DeX thing, but it won't work with that phone because it's probably not really a Samsung. No, so. Who would have figured? You'd think you could trust those people at wish.com. You'd think.
And last story here. This is in The Verge. Apple announces a slew of accessibility updates. Sign Time launches actually today as we record this, and software updates will be coming later this year.
Sign Time?
Apple announced a variety of new and updated features for people with disabilities today, beginning May 20th. Customers who use the new Sign Time sign language interpreter service to contact Apple Care and retail customer care through their web browsers Software updates later this year for iOS, watchOS, iPadOS will bring improved options for assistive touch, voiceover, hearing aid support, and background sounds. And even Tim Cook, it shows here, that tweeted something about he said, we believe everyone should have the tools that they need to change the world. Accessibility is a fundamental right, and we've always pushed the boundaries of innovation so that everyone can learn, create, and connect in new ways. So it's good to see this. I'm glad to see that they just keep enhancing accessibility. I mean, you and I probably wouldn't use a lot of these features, but there's people out there who have challenges with being able to use their iPhones or iPads, and I think this is a good thing. We think
it is. I wonder if this will solve the issue for people that are trading in their iPhones that have to go into the store to do it, because I believe there was a lawsuit or some kind of legal action against Apple for, I think the guy was a quadriplegic and wasn't able to get into the Apple Store, which you have to do apparently in order to participate in the trade-in program. So we'll see if this will resolve some of those issues as well.
Yeah, they even mentioned here that Apple plans to update the made for iPhone hearing device programs with support by bidirectional hearing aids. Users will also be able to upload their hearing test results to headphone combinations to more easily customize, feature amplifying sounds, and adjust their different frequencies. That's interesting. And then for neurodiverse people or anyone who likes white noise, Apple is introducing background sounds that can be incorporated with their other audio and system sounds that include balanced, bright or dark noise, as well as ocean, rain, or stream sounds. Hey, it's going to put those white noise companies out of business now. It's going to be built in.
them and Peloton, they're all in trouble.
Oh yeah, so good to see. I'm glad Apple's just keeps going with accessibility. It's pretty awesome.
Got to be done.
Absolutely. So let's move on to some topics this week. Beta always is going on, and as we always tease Warren every week because he always goes on the cutting edge and always has the latest. I'm sure he probably went and updated to 14.7 while he was in Vegas. I wouldn't put it past him one bit because he's good. He's good for that. I seem to remember he did that when he was sitting in a hospital bed one week. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He had to run the iOS update beta.
He was complaining because the hospital Wi-Fi was so slow.
The Wi-Fi was so slow.
It's like, you just couldn't wait till you got home. Okay, Warren.
Yeah, we love you, Warren. This has been happening pretty frequently with these updates. So you had iOS 14.6, the release candidate, which basically is the final version of 14.6, and that was sent to developers and public beta is out now, and that's still in release candidate. It hasn't been released officially just yet, but what it's done, it's added support to the new Apple Music features, which we're going to talk about here in just a bit. Those with spatial audio and Dolby Atmos and lossless audio. So they've added that, and then for AirTags, the beta is adding a new feature allowing an email address to be entered as a contact method for lost mode instead of a phone number. So you don't have to go out and you don't have to have your phone texting you. You can actually there could be an email address if you so choose. And then of course the Apple Podcast subscriptions, which that's been quite the debate for many of our friends in the podcasting world, whether or not they're going to do that or not.
It's taking a long time for some of these RSS feeds to settle down.
Yep, and then I didn't touch on this last week. We were going to touch on this a little bit. The Apple Card family. So now if you have an Apple Card, you now can share it with up to 5 people, including anyone 13 years or older in your family sharing group. Apple Card Family had support for the families to track expenses, manage spending, optional limits and controls, and help build their credit, which is kind of neat. I like that. Even a 13-year-old, having them learn how to manage their credit wisely, because obviously the persons who the primary card holder is can control what can be spent, but this also gives them some responsibility. And the nice thing is, because a lot of kids get allowance or whatever you want to call it. So instead of giving them actual cash, you can just say, "Oh, okay, well, once a week, as long as you do all your chores or whatever, this amount of money will be flashed to your Apple Pay."
so that you can use it for whatever stuff it is you want to use it. Because basically Apple Pay is like everywhere now.
Oh, it is. It's pretty phenomenal. And I try to use it as much as I can, because especially you can get 2 and 3% cash back, and that's a ka-ching every time you look at my Apple Cash card. Like, oh look, I got some money.
I got like $700 in mine right now.
Oh really? Okay, you just let it build up, huh?
Yeah, I'm thinking that when eventually they release the updated Mac Mini,
I don't know if that's going to happen.
Eventually.
Eventually, yes.
Yeah.
And then this release will also fix other issues. Unlock with the Apple Watch, which I absolutely love, especially with wearing a mask. May not work after using the lock iPhone on Apple Watch. Reminders may appear as blank lines, so they're fixing that. Call blocking extensions may not appear in settings. Bluetooth devices could sometimes disconnect or send audio to a different device during and after call. That's annoying.
A little bit.
And then iPhone may experience reduced performance during startup. So we'll see. I mean, my iPhone, actually, I've been noticing. Lately, my 12 Pro Max has been kind of freezing up here and there. Once in a while, I'm going to these apps, and it's like, what the heck's going on here? I can't even get to, like, I think it was one day I was in my messages, and I was like, I couldn't even, it was like a blank screen. Like, what's the deal here? So hopefully this is going to fix some bugs. And then Apple Music we'll talk here in a second. But and then of course they had to just go ahead and release iOS 14.7 right away. So now we're in, just as we're getting 14.6, 14.7 beta, which is beta 1, is now out.
Which Warren has.
We can guarantee Warren has already updated it, and because this came out
on the plane out to Las Vegas.
Yeah, it came out yesterday. Yeah, so he probably was. Yeah, he probably got on the plane Wi-Fi, downloaded it on the plane.
And if we could talk to him right now, he'd be like, "Man, that Wi-Fi was so slow."
Yeah, I'm just waiting for.
Not as bad as the hospital Wi-Fi, but it wasn't good.
No. So they released the first betas all across the board: iOS, watchOS, tvOS. And including Big Mac OS too. The Big Sur 11.5 right away came out. So still no word yet to what was updated. They really haven't said much other than it could be just some bug fixes, and so this might be more of a minor update than a major one. But so far, this was just released yesterday as we record this, so there's still some time here for all the pundits to go out and do their YouTube videos and tell us, oh, look, I found this, and this is there too. tvOS 14.7 actually can be downloaded onto an Apple TV via a profile that's installed using Xcode if you wanted to. And of course, the watchOS, because the same way, you can have to do the dedicated watchOS app and then install it through the developer. For now, I believe this is only with developers. I don't see this mentioned just yet that it's with in the public beta just yet.
Well, so for tvOS, I'll need to, and this really hacked me off. I was talking to Carl Madden from the Mac and Force show. He was helping me with an issue I was having with the Apple TV. And he asked me, what version of tvOS are you on? I said, you should be on 14, what was it, 14.5, I think it was.
14.5 right now, yeah.
Yeah, or 14.4. And I looked, I was still on like 14.1, 14.2. And I have it set to auto update, and it doesn't do it. And it really was like, well, then what's the point of having auto update if it's not going to do it?
Yeah, every time I go to my Apple TV, it's always...
a couple versions back.
Never updates. But then I went and forced I think iOS 14.6 on it, because you can the cool thing on tvOS, you can actually go in and, do you want beta updates, yes or no? You don't have to have as long as it's a
certificate or whatever Apple calls it.
Yeah, install the profile.
Yeah,
the configuration profile.
So annoying.
The one thing that actually the 9to5 Mac did call out is iOS 14.7 beta is now going to let you set timers on the HomePod using the Home app. They didn't, as they did introduce this. Well, it doesn't bring any significant changes. It does bring a new feature to HomePod users where they'll be able to set timers on the HomePod using the Home app on the iPhone, iPad, and possibly the Mac as well. Setting timers on the HomePod is definitely not something new, and since iOS 12, users can add multiple timers at once. However, you need to do this using S Lady or a home on the HomePod. Now Apple is making this process a bit easier with 14.7. So we'll have some enhancements for the HomePod Mini.
Maybe
we'll see.
Yeah.
But other than that, like I said, it's beta goes forward here, so we'll see where it goes. So. Other topic I want to talk about is the iPads. iPad Pros. A lot of the tech influencers have already got their hands on it. I watched Marcus Brownlee. I watched Renee Ritchie and others. They've done their reviews of the iPad Pros, and you'll be hearing my review because I got my shipping information. It's supposed to be arriving tomorrow as I record this.
Nice.
And hopefully we'll have it in time. I can do a review of it next week to see what the big difference is. Apple gave me a very generous trade-in allowance for my old 2018 model, so I'll be trading that bad boy in, and then put it on the Apple
you
Card.
and I have the same model, though.
Currently, but not soon to be not have the same model. So I'll have the 2021. So.
Well, I'm not gonna ask you here during the show how much they gave you for it, but maybe once we're off.
It's public knowledge. I don't mind sharing. $455. So, which is not too bad.
Yeah, it's not worth it for me though.
Yeah,
since I just got mine.
Yeah, I've had mine I bought the 2018 when it first came out. So
you've had it almost 3 years.
3 years, and then the battery's starting to. I mean, the batteries were still working, but you could tell that it's having its challenges, and the battery doesn't stay as long as it used to. But they're not going to take that away from me. And then, but no, I thought it was a fair trade. And then the nice thing with the Apple Card is you have I believe they give me 12. I think it's 12 months. I believe I got no interest. You just don't even feel it.
Well, and plus using the Apple Card, you get 2% off, 3% off, an additional.
You get the 3% back. Yeah. Yep. On the full cost. Yeah. So
which ain't chicken feed.
No, it's nice. It's nice. So stay tuned. We'll be definitely talking about the iPad Pro and my experiences with it anyway. And I'm hoping that it's going to have just as good a performance and most that are talking about. It was interesting. Marcus Brownlee did say that he of course got the 12.9 inch model for his demo, and of course the screen's it's just incredible. The screen on that with the XDR Retina display, and the 11 doesn't have that. And he got an interesting debate the fact that. The 11-inch does not have that screen. The 11-inch basically has the exact same screen that our current models have now. I mean, there's really not much difference. Which is still a good screen. Still a good screen, but you know what? I'm going to be anxious to see how the differences in the M1 processor is going to be versus the A12.
Well, you'll have them both at the same time, so you can
I don't have to trade mine in just quick. I'll be able to do some side-by-side demos for a week or two while I wait for the trade-in box. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see where it goes. So, that's iPad Pros for now, and then let's go and move on and talk a little bit about the big announcement that Apple had this week was Apple Music with lossless support, spatial audio, and all kinds of fun stuff that's going to be that's already in iOS 14.6 when that comes out. It's going to include spatial audio, Dolby Atmos, and lossless audio features. It'll be available this coming June as we record this and across all devices: iOS, iPadOS, macOS, tvOS, and Apple says thousands of tracks will be available in the spatial audio and Dolby Atmos at no extra cost, and they'll be adding more regularly. And the Apple Music subscribers will be able to listen to Dolby Atmos tracks using any headphones, according to Apple. But when listening to the AirPods or Beat headphones with an H1 or W1 chip, Dolby Atmos music plays automatically when available for a song. It's definitely going to be interesting, and Apple Music is also going to get 2 tiers of lossless audio at no extra cost, which is great. So I'm excited at that. I have the Apple One bundle, so I won't be feeling it other than being able to use this. And you can turn the settings on in audio quality, whether you want lossless music or not. So I'm going to be interesting to see what the cost is. What's the downfall to this? Well, there's some compatibility issues. devices that are supported is like I just said, iPad, iPhone, Mac, and Apple TV, but not supported lossless sounds is AirPods, AirPods Pro, AirPods Max, and none of the HomePods. So you're not going to be able to even listen to lossless music,
or probably the spatial audio either. Because
it does work, yeah. Because the AirPods Pro have spatial audio already, so that'll still work. It's just being able to listen to lossless audio.
See, that makes no sense.
Especially
it's like
the AirPods Max. I would be so irritated. I spent $600 for a pair of headphones that won't work.
Well, I mean, it's just another format, and if it's a format that it's basically sending wirelessly, then all you need to do is have whatever digital audio converter is in your earphones, your earphones or AirPods or what have you, in order to translate it back to analog. So why it's such a big deal that you won't be able to get lossless? But we were kind of talking about that on Tuesday.
Right.
Chances are 99% of the people out there wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a lossless file and an MP3.
Right. Yeah. So, but the thing is, it is going to work with wired devices. Now, the Apple's 3.5-inch Lightning headphone adapter, which includes its own DAC, digital analog converter that supports 24-bit 48 kilohertz. So high-end wired headphones work, but like I said, the AirPods Max don't, and they do have a core.
They have their own DAC, yeah,
because it's got its built-in DAC. So the only way I'm going to be able to experience this is by actually plugging in. Like I've got my Bose QC35s, those workhorse headphones that I've had for years. So I'll at least be able to experience it. But it's kind of
disappointing.
It's a little disappointing.
I wonder if those new Beats headphones will let you play those lossless files there, Dave.
Well, not Bluetooth. They won't.
Well, you can't use them wired. They barely fit. You take them out, you put them in your ears, and it's like, well, they're still in there, but I can't feel them. They've kind of slipped the surly bonds and entered into your brain. Yeah.
But HomePod will support the spatial audio, as we just talked about, spatial audio, but not lossless.
How is that going to work?
So, yeah.
You're talking about the full-size HomePods, right? Not the HomePod minis.
The HomePods, right? Not the HomePod minis. And
so not for the current device, but for the one that they're discontinuing.
They've already discontinued, yeah. So it just kind of a strange.
That's very odd.
Strange things to see. I'm going to be curious. I've got my HomePod still, and it's going to be interesting to see where that's going to go.
I wonder if the HomePod minis will support lossless audio.
I don't think so. Doesn't seem like it anyway.
So you have to buy something else from Apple in order to enjoy lossless files.
Yeah, another pair of headphones. So. But yeah, this is definitely going to be interesting to see where this goes. I just don't know. Again, this will be released in June, from what they said. So coming up in a few weeks here as we record, we'll definitely see where it goes.
Well, I'm really, really curious if they're going to address this at WWDC next month,
right?
Because that is when they're going to roll out at least a partial list of whatever new features that the next version, iOS 15 and iPadOS 15 and macOS 12, 11 something. I don't know how they plan on doing that with the macOS, but
right.
And they're not going to run. This is what they've been doing now for a while with WWDC. They'll tell you probably half to 3/4 of the new stuff that's coming in the operating system, and they'll hold back on that 25% until it gets much closer to the release candidate. But there'll be all kinds of speculations from analysts going, well, this is what it's definitely going to have.
Yeah. It's
nobody calls them out on their BS.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see where the work goes. I'm just perplexed at this whole thing.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me either.
We'll see what happens. I guess that's all we could say here, huh? So we've got a couple tips here I'm going to talk through this week. We'll take a look at some of these and maybe an app or two here as well. I have a tip here. Actually, I got this from OS X Daily, which is always a great site to find all kinds of great tips and tricks on there. And how to reduce your iCloud backup data on the iPhone or the iPad. I know a lot of you are probably running out of iCloud storage space. I don't have to worry about it anymore. So I have a 2 terabyte version that I'm sharing with family.
Yeah,
so,
same.
With the Apple One bundle. But if the iCloud backup is too large for the iCloud plan you have, you're not going to be able to back up your iPhone or iPad. And this is probably one of the most common things you see when iCloud backups fail. Believe me, I've done, and that's why I ended up putting one of my family members on my plan because, she had the 5 gigabyte plan, which of course ran out in about 5 seconds.
Yeah. Now photos count toward the total amount of space, or is that incorrect? No, okay. What about music that you've purchased from Apple?
No, music shouldn't, because you could download it to your device if you want it to be local. But most time people stream it.
Okay, so that doesn't count towards your iCloud storage.
Right.
And then there's the big, of course, iCloud changeover where all of the individual folders inside are going to disappear, and it's basically just going to be iCloud.
Right. So the way you check this is you actually you head over into the settings on your home screen, and then you just tap your name that shows. It says your Apple ID and such, and at the very top. And then you go into iCloud, and then you go into Manage Storage. And then you can go in and check all these backups, because it shows you what your storage plan is. But if you tap Backups, it's actually going to show what your backup is. And if you have multiple devices that are backed like mine shows my iPhone and my iPad.
Right.
Now you can manage the backup right from your device. So in this case, the iPhone. Then you can go in and actually change things you don't want to back up, because it does go through quite a list of things that you may not necessarily care about when it comes to backing up, and that maybe you don't care about what's backed up on Discord or WhatsApp or some of these other crazy things that are being backed up right now. So I'm just going into my my iCloud. I added my family plan here. Everybody's on my family plan now, and then there's already 537 gigabytes of space being used for all of them. So that's pretty awesome. I still got tons of space left. So, but yeah, I go into my backups and I got 10 gigs of backup here, and so if I go to the iPhone, and then what it'll do is it'll bring up choose the data to back up, and you can go in and turn those off if there's something you don't really care about. And a lot of times I've got a lot of apps here, so it's already taken a long time to spin in here trying to tell me what's on here. But you can go show all apps, and it'll actually show you the apps that are backing things up. And if it's something you don't care about, turn it off. I mean, it's just going to be one less thing that has to go through and back it up. I use the app Audacity, and already I see it's using 1.16 gigabytes, because I've probably was playing a radio station or something. I must have downloaded it, so I don't even know why I would ever want to keep that. So like Paramount Plus, another one, but they're watching videos, so it looks like it downloads stuff. Teams is going to do that too. And Pocket Casts, you got to be careful too. It could download some podcasts.
Is that taking a space on your phone or space in iCloud?
On the backup, because it's included in the backup. So we're in the backup of the device.
Oh, okay. And that's going to iCloud.
And then that's going to iCloud, and then, your backup will start getting larger and larger. Right now, my backup size is about 4 gigabytes, but for me, I'm not going to worry about it, because, like I said, I have plenty. But
right.
But and then you also can go in to look at your if you have other devices on here, you only can look at what the backup size is. You can't actually manage it, so you have to, like on the case of my iPad, I'll have to go back and go on the iPad to manage it. So, but I tell you, the 200 gig plan is probably sufficient for most people for the iCloud backup. And the 200 gig plan is only, I think, was it 99 cents a month? I think it is. No, that's the 50 gig plan. Yeah. Even off. And then I think it goes up to $299 a month for the 200 gig plan. I think something like that. I have to look at those up. What those prices are. I mean,
for a subscription service, it's not that much.
Yeah, no, it's not. The 20 gig plan is. Well, I think they changed the 20 gig plan to this is an old article that was linked. It was 99 cents, I think, for the 50 gig plan, and then $299 a month for the 200 gig plan, and then you move up to the terabyte and 2 terabytes. So, Apple's backup space can tend to be a little expensive, but just for the pure convenience of it, it just makes it so much easier to work with it. So
it does.
Speaking of that too, I also want to touch a little bit on how to free up storage space on your iPad or your iPhone. What you can do is the basic storage tips going into settings, going under general, and then in the case of the iPhone, go into iPhone storage. And that's going to also give you the option to clear out things that you may not necessarily be using all the time. So, like I said, if you go into general and then go under iPhone storage, it's actually going to calculate everything that's being stored on the iPhone. And you may, for me, I have a 256 gigabyte iPhone, so I generally don't worry too much about space. Because I don't know, I've always been, every time I go to upgrade my iPhone, I'm always waiting to decide, do I really need to have 256? Why not? I'll just get it. So, like here, Overcast has almost 5.3 gigabytes because obviously podcasts have been downloading on here. I just didn't realize it. I got games like the Oregon Trail, which is part of Apple Arcade, so almost 2 gigs of space here, and Pocket Casts, and then your iCloud Drive. Those files are stored on the iPhone itself. So so it adds up. So if you're running out of space on the iPhone itself, and some of you may, again, I'm only using 51 gigabytes of my 256, so I got plenty. I have plenty of space, but there might be some of you are space challenged, 128 gigs or 64 gigs, depending on how old your iPhone is. You might want to take a look at this. And then the other thing too is you actually can go in
just add some more RAM. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, right. The other thing too is you actually can go in and under recommendations, it'll actually show review large attachments. So sometimes you might, what's notorious of taking up space is in messages, and iMessage. Yep. People save tons of messages and tons of photos that are in those messages, and you wonder why you have
GIFs
so much
and videos and everything else.
And you wonder why you have so much space. So that's one place also you can actually go through and test, check for storage. The other thing too is you can go into the photos under settings and you can tap optimize iPhone storage. Sometimes you may not want those photos to reside specifically on your iPhone. You can just have it stay in the cloud, and when you want to look at it, you tap it and then it'll just download it real quick for you and bring it in so you can have it on there as far as helping pruning your library, so checking for you can go through and look for redundant shots, and so there's so many other places you could check chat under chat, make sure that's cleaned up. Videos, that's another place that are going to take up a lot of space. So it just goes on and on as far as what you can find when it comes to that. So you don't worry too much about space. So what's your iPhone SE 2? Does it have? Did you get a bigger one?
Yeah, it's maxed out. I think it's 256.
Okay.
Which you can't with the SE2 because it was never intended to be like one of Apple's frontline phones. Right. It's and it's a good phone. It's the equivalent of probably the 11. As far as speed and the rest of it goes, and it works great. Yeah, no, I think it's a good thing to it's a good thing to have here. So, so good, some good tips there as far as storage goes. And then I want to talk about a couple apps here, at least one here. If anybody's not familiar with the iPhone camera app, Halide,
they've expanded to the iPad with a new Pro View. Just before the iPad Pro begins to arrive, the developers of this award-winning app, iPhone camera app, has now announced the release of an iPad app complete with custom user interface that takes advantage of the larger screen. So I'll be looking forward to taking a look at this app because on the new iPad Pro here. So I got a link here from Mac Rumors that did write up on this, and it says to keep the viewfinder minimized, minimally obscured, the iPad app has an expandable honeycomb of controls next to the shutter button for manually adjusting of shutter speed, ISO, white balance, and more. And other key features are readily reachable at the edges of the screen. And Halide offers Smart RAW, RAW Plus, and JPEG capture, instant RAW processing, a dedicated depth mode. So it's probably one of the most advanced camera apps that are out there. If you're really hardcore into taking pictures, of course, I always love people when they hold up their iPads or like this taking pictures.
Yeah, I was just saying, they've basically replaced small portable cameras with iPhones, and now it looks like they're trying to replace iPhones with something bigger like an iPad. It's odd, but every time I see people that are holding up their tablets to take pictures, I just kind of think, why are you doing that? You've got a phone in your pocket that's much more easier to manipulate. Actually, my just before we started recording, my wife was looking at these like funny animal videos, and there was basically one where a dolphin comes up and some woman is like holding a tablet. I don't know if it was an iPad or an Android tablet, just comes up and like hits the tablet with its bottlenose, and it goes flying up in the air and comes down into the water. It's like, and dolphins always seem to have that look on their face like they know something. They know something that you don't know, and they're not going to tell you. And in this case, it was like, I'm going to take your tablet and flip it into the water. So, dolphins.
That's for sure. So it's check that out, and I have a link in the show notes for that. And any other apps that really have stood out for me? Is there any apps that you use quite often that you like?
What, related to photography? Mostly the Camo app is brilliant. It's what, and you use it, and I'm using it right now. Yeah. And the fact it gives you, because I mean, as you look at your picture right now, I've got this Canon camera with a separate lens and all the rest of that, and you basically have the same thing, just using your phone, and it's what you would have had anyway.
And I have a second phone, which I have that luxury. This is a 10R that I'm using, it's definitely something that's really good. That Camo is just a pretty phenomenal camera when it comes to that. So, I'm pretty impressed with it. I paid for the lifetime subscription. I think it was like $79, and well worth it. Well worth it. And then even if you don't use your iPhone and you can use it as a camera, it really works out really well.
It gives you it because right now some of the features that you use when you use your phone as a camera, some of those features aren't easy to get to. But if you're using Camo, things like white balance and zoom and all the rest of it, it's just right there in the application.
Yeah. So, definitely some cool stuff. Any other apps that you use all the time in general?
For iOS, I have Lumafusion, but the interface still somewhat confuses me. So I need to try using it a little bit more. I actually tried using it on the Mac, and I was after about 15 minutes of fumbling around with it. It's like, I've got DaVinci. Why am I doing this to myself? So, but what I don't like, I'm not a fan of the iOS or iPadOS iMovie app. I just don't think it's very good.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I'm constantly looking for something else that I used to use. Corel made a movie editor for iOS back in the day, back when Macworld Expo was still around, because there were the very last two Macworld Expos. I didn't take a laptop. I did everything on my iPad. I think it was like a version 3 iPad. So I was recording I was recording audio in a multi-track recorder. I don't remember what the name of it is now at the top of my head. Then editing it, then adding pictures, and then uploading it and all the rest of that. And I did all of that with an iPad. So you don't necessarily have to have a Mac as a professional or as a prosumer to do all the things that you want to do. Carl Madden uses Lumafusion and I can't remember the audio app that he uses, but that's what he records all of his podcasts in. And it's these are fantastic devices, and chances are for most of the people that are out there, you're going to have a phone anyway. Why not go ahead and instead of going and as a Mac guy, this almost sounds like sacrilege. Instead of going out and buying the next laptop or the next iMac or the next Mac Mini, go ahead and get a iPad Pro and look for apps that do the things that you want to use on a computer and see if they're good enough.
Yeah.
Regardless, you're still going to have a quality device that's going to last you for years, unless you're a Warren Scholar.
That you traded in after about 2 months. You
traded in, yeah, 6 months. It's like, they got a new one. I got to get rid of this.
I got to buy the newest one. So, all right. I think we've talked through some great topics this week. Hope everybody enjoyed it. And let's go ahead and wrap things up if that's okay with you, Mr. Serle. And that's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. You can subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts and many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter @DaveG65. Guy Serle, thanks for being here again. We always love having you on the show.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. Where can everybody find you?
On Twitter, I am Mac Parrot and Vert Shark. You can find me along with Gazmaz over in the mymac.com podcast that we've been doing every single week for like 10, 11 years, as well as the Mac to the Future Livecast Go that Dave and Warren and I have been doing for a couple of years now, 2-3 years.
At least 2. I had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, and we actually have kind of a working regular software hardware setup, because it got really funky there for a while, Dave. Really, really funky.
Yes,
but now everything works. It's relatively smooth, and I don't curse as much. That's a good thing.
That's right. Yes, those are a good thing.
Those are good things.
Keep the show clean.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean. And so if you would like to join us on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over there on the Facebooks or in the YouTubes, Mac to the Future is the group, or just look for it under my own personal Facebook account, Guy Serle. Believe it or not, I am the only Guy Serle on Facebook, and the world feels much better about it.
Yeah, I think they do.
They would.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for being here, and thanks to everybody here that listened. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk again soon.